Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the show. This episode is brought to you by The Wellness Paradigm, a holistic health coaching company shifting the way that women understand and heal their bodies. Through bioenergetic testing, functional lab testing, and nutrition, we uncover what traditional approaches often overlook, so you can stop guessing, start healing, and finally feel like yourself again. No more one-size-fits-all protocols, just real answers, deep-rooted healing, and the clarity and confidence you deserve to feel incredible. It's time to shift the paradigm of women's health. Now on to our show. And good afternoon, Chanelle.
Hi.
As we could have had a whole podcast just with us chatting before this. I'm so excited for this podcast. I'm really excited that you're here. Chanelle Jepson. She's a nutraceutical formulator, a nutritionist, and senior vice president of product innovation at Xyngular, as well as XMD Wellness, which is a science-backed biohacking company specializing in supplementation and pharmaceutical-grade peptides. And I love your insight that you're going to bring here, just bringing a wealth of knowledge with nutrition, science, but also just being incredible yourself. So give us a little bit of background on how you got into nutraceutical formulation.
Yeah, of course. Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm super excited. A lot of your story resonates with my story. So I'm sure you're going to see a lot of yourself in my story. But essentially what happened is I was in business school and my weight, I started gaining weight rapidly. I was very underweight. And then all of a sudden it was like, it was not the freshman 15, it was the freshman 50 and beyond, to be honest. But then not even just that, cystic acne, I was diagnosed with endometriosis, gastroesophageal reflux disease. And now looking back, I had all the symptoms of PCOS or PMOS that just got renamed. And I had all the issues there. And so also depression, anxiety, just so many health issues going on, especially in your early 20s. And then it was like medication, and then that medication caused a side effect. So then I was on this medication, that medication caused a side effect. And I was on over a dozen non-life sustaining medications in my early 20s. And nothing was really helping. And so I finally got really fed up. And if you remember Groupon back in the day, I found a Groupon for a gut health class. Really random. I'm in business school and I get my boyfriend then, who is now my husband, and I dealt with all of these health issues with him, and we go. And they're talking about things, you guys, this is a long time ago. This is almost 20 years ago. So Candida, gut health, mold toxicity, these are things that nobody was talking about back then. And this course was incredible. And she sat there and she named like every single symptom I had on her presentation. And I thought, oh, okay. And I think what's really hard is with healing, you become your own case study. You're the patient and the practitioner. You are dealing with the symptoms while trying to find the solution, and it is incredibly overwhelming. And for me, in college, really young, trying to navigate these illnesses was really challenging. I went on a protocol with a naturopathic doctor. It was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life. It was elimination, and it was anti-inflammatory, and there was detoxification, and I put my feet in this machine with the, I can't remember the name of it. Yes. I mean, they still do these things. Anyways, I went to this retreat. I did all the things, and it cost me an incredible amount of money, especially then as a college student, working 3 jobs, trying to survive. But it was worth it, because I should not have been this sick, this sad, and this low of energy. I was falling asleep everywhere. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong with me. I had some sort of autoimmune illness that they just could not diagnose, and I was passing out, and man, it was a rough time. So I go on this program. To this day, it very well could be one of the hardest things I've ever done. The food was disgusting. The supplements tasted like dirt. I'm taking 16 capsules of fiber. I mean, like, if you saw, it was an apothecary. Like, I was my own pharmacy at this point. But it worked. I completely am symptom free. I do not have painful periods. As you can see, I do not have acne. I had severe acne and was on spirolactone at the time. That was one of the medications. do not recommend those side effects. And yeah, I completely reversed all of it. I have no endometriosis symptoms. I don't know for sure if my endometriosis is gone, but I have none of the symptoms of endometriosis. So I just feel like I was able to completely reverse all of my things and all of it. But one of the things I recognized is that the average person, like you have to really be sick and tired of being sick and tired to spend that much money, that much time, and that much energy into healing. And so I was like, ooh, I can do this better. Instead of 16 fiber capsules, why not a fiber drink? Instead of this really gross gelatin thing, I was like, I can make supplements taste way better than this. So I switched from a degree in business to chemistry, and now I'm a biochemist and nutraceutical formulator. And I just wanted a way for healing to be something you look forward to rather than something you wake up and you're like, oh, I cannot drink another one, or I just want to eat like this, so I just wanted to kind of flip the script on healing and it being pleasurable and craveable rather than a chore. So that is the long story of how I got into nutraceutical formulations.
So fascinating. I love that because yes, I do see a lot of that, in my story and just but what you said about healing being something you look forward to, that's so interesting because this healing journey, especially God, when you look on social media, it's so dark and dismal and just like you feel so burdened by it. So, getting into these products, how have you seen people change, not only like liking the product, but just when you feel more excited, just that energy alone will help you heal more? So what kind
Yeah.
of, yeah, talk to me about that.
I mean, every product I've made is totally different. I've made products for leaky gut. I've made products for to biohack your mood to microbiome through the vagus nerve. I've done a lot of different things, but I think most recently, and what I'm probably most well known for, is kind of the invention of clear protein. I've done a lot with clear protein. Launched the very first canned clear protein, and then going into powders, because one of the things I recognized was so many people are on peptides. So this is healing in today's world with today's tools, and peptides are one of the most miraculous inventions. And obviously peptides have been around for a long time, but most notably GLP-1s have really stolen the stage. And I mean, you cannot scroll through Instagram without seeing somebody on a GLP-1.
Mhm.
I believe the statistic is 1 in every 8.
I think it's gonna be 1 in 4 in the next like 30 years. Like it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah, it's going to be big. And I think the lifestyle things around a GLP-1, the thing is it's not that all of a sudden protein is important. Protein has always been important. Getting your micronutrients has always been important. Getting in your fiber, right? All of these things have always been important. It just feels like the GLP-1s have put a spotlight on those.
Yes.
And now people can't ignore them. Instead of a doctor, it's like in the footnote, like manage stress, eat healthy. It's like, it's the main thing now, which is great. Sometimes it's frustrating because I'm like, this should have always been the main thing. I'm always, even though I make supplements, I'm a food first approach always, and lifestyle always. I always talk about it as stepping over dollars to pick up pennies in wellness. People are going to step over the basics, which do the majority, to pick up the minority, if you will. So going back to just some of these products like clear protein, it was like GLP-1 people, like it can completely changes their mouthfeel, their experience with sweetness, their ability to even get in all of those macro and micronutrients. So clear protein was really a solution for that person to get something. This is clear protein. It's like it just tastes like a juice, and it's just very easy to consume, but you're getting in a grass-fed whey protein isolate that is incredibly high in leucine, which leucine is the amino acid that triggers muscle protein synthesis, which is key for people on a GLP-1, but then also to prevent sarcopenia with aging, which is another issue. And so, but it's something most people, they pick up a clear protein and they're like, oh, this is delicious. they don't know all of the other things. And that's probably okay. I do think the more you know, the better you can do. But if I can make it delicious and easy and people feel a result, sometimes they don't care about the mechanisms that got them that. But yeah, so that there's that. My probiotic, complete probiotic, it won the Nexty Award for Supplement of the Year. It was incredibly innovative. It was during the pandemic when people were really sad, gut issues were a problem, immune issues. We were just seeing that problem highlighted really big at that point. And so I created a product and they're targeted probiotic strains for to improve mood, reduce stress eating, while also helping your gut functions. Just the stereotypical gas, bloating, constipation, right? The general things we think of gut health, but also tapping into the vagus nerve and tapping into the mental wellness that comes along with specific targeted probiotic strains. So those I would say, are probably, Trim Sticks is another great one that helps with metabolic health and producing. A lot of people don't know that peptides are actually created in your gut. You have satiety peptides, PYY, CCK, GLP-1, and those are actually created in your gut. And there are ways to trigger those. And so I have products that help produce endogenous GLP-1, which is obviously different than a medical GLP-1, but I don't know how technical you want me to get here, but so those are probably three of my favorite products because they taste good, or they're easy to take, or you can feel the benefits right away.
Well, that's what people need nowadays. That's what people love peptides. It's like they work so well, so quick, right?
Yeah.
But there's a fine line with doing something that's not just like a quick fix while also working on, especially when I love that you mentioned the probiotic because, people don't understand that 90% of your serotonin's in your gut. So when your
Yeah.
gut, of course, you're going to have anxiety, depression-like issues. I'm not saying that that's 100%, but it's certainly, I've had so many clients get off their SSRIs with the help of their doctor, my
Yeah.
disclaimer, right when they heal their gut. But I love
Yeah.
that you also mentioned when this is coming out, it's 2026 right now. I have seen a huge shift in how people heal post 2020. I see it with my bioresonance work. I see it in this nervous system work as people have just gotten trapped in this trauma loop almost, and their guts are a mess. And it's like, you have to work not just throwing some random gut health supplement anymore. You have to work on the vagal toning. You have to work on, the gut microbiome in different ways that are also triggering that mood stabilization. Then you can learn how to also just feel better and not have to rely so heavily on products and or peptides, right? So they
Yeah.
become tools and not your main way of just getting better, which is how a lot of people get into the supplements in the first place. So,
Yeah. Yeah, when I think of supplements, like nutraceuticals, kind of, it feels like the way we used to talk about pharmaceuticals, that it was a band-aid
hmm
instead of getting to the root cause.
hmm
I think a lot of times people are now treating supplements the same way.
So,
Like they use it as like, instead of terrain, they
mhm.
think of it more as like a targeted, where it's, you actually want your supplements to help your terrain as well as targeted, while also focusing on lifestyle. Like, yes, managing stress. I know easier said than done. We were talking earlier about how we're both mothers of young children, and like those stresses are not going away. Potty training is gonna happen. These things are going to happen. We have all of these stresses in life, but we need tools in. I'm not going to get rid of my kids. I love my kids. They're like my entire, I love them. And so I'm never going to get rid of that stress. But how do I now manage that stress? And what tools are in my tool belt to help me show up as my best self, as a mother, as an executive, as an educator? And so I think sometimes with supplements, we're able to use those as an additional tool uh, to help us live and show up in a better way.
100%. Mm, snaps. Because that's so true. I mean, you cannot show up. So many people listening to this podcast are business owners, right? They're moms, they're high performing women. And I had somebody come up. So I had a conversation. I think this will resonate. She's like, I don't feel like we need to be having all of these supplements. Can I just eat my food? Can I just eat healthy and live a good lifestyle? And listen, I'm in the bioenergetic world as well. Like, I love peptides, I love supplements, I love homeopathy, right? I love working with the body and not forcing it. But at the same time, we live in a modern world. And it's just we have depleted soil and we have high stressors that were never here. We have different pathogens and different freaking bioweapons that are just they were not around decades ago. And so yes, you need to support the body a little bit differently, and supplements are okay to use, right? We don't want them to be the all end all be all, but I do love filling the gaps that we're just unfortunately not getting in our day-to-day society.
For sure. I always think of modern day problems require modern day solutions.
Yeah.
We are living in a screen heavy world, and what blue light is doing to our circadian rhythm, which is adjusting our melatonin production and our digestion. And I mean, that's just one thing that I see as everybody's on screens. But then you have soil depletion. You're right. Like, we're not getting like a apple today and an apple 80 years ago is not the same thing. And I think you see that a lot, where I don't think people recognize the world is changing. And so the tools are changing. And I do believe, yes, in a food first approach to wellness. However, I actually think you can't get everything you need from food anymore. I think you would actually be over. I'm trying to think of it's over a dozen fruits and vegetables a day in order to get all of the required micronutrients, where that used to be very different. And it just keeps getting higher and higher with, the turnover rate of our soil and depletion. And so I think supplements are now a requirement where maybe they weren't before. Just because you're right, modern day problems, they just require a modern day approach.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's so great when you have products that you can also trust, right? And so I'd be curious on, when I work with supplements with clients, there are certain things I always look for, and certain things my clients, look for as far as, potency and purity and, just different fillers and additives. And unfortunately, if you're listening to this and you're like, well, I'm just going to get it off of Amazon, please stop. Please stop.
Please
Because
stop.
75% of them have been proven to be counterfeit. So, you want supplement companies you can trust. Why should somebody trust Xyngular?
I will say we have an incredible quality and regulatory team. So how we deal with formulation is essentially I figure out what's the problem I want to solve. And I always kind of think of a person standing in front of me. Like, if I was doing a consultation and I was to say, "Hey, Shannon, like, tell me about your life," and you were to tell me that you feel like since you've gotten old, I don't know how old you are. How old are you? Can I ask you that?
Yeah, mid-30s.
Okay, mid-30s. Okay. So you're in the phase that a lot of women are starting perimenopause
No.
right now. Actually, crazy enough. 35, 40 is when some women are starting that. So if I was to sit here and talk to you and figure out, okay, what's the problem? I start there and I'm like, okay, how do I solve this thing? And maybe you were to tell me, your sleep is starting to get disrupted. You're starting to wake up at 3 a.m. You are tired but wired at night. Like, you're fatigued, but you cannot fall asleep. Or maybe you're waking up and you literally can't get started in your day without a cup of coffee. Okay, all of these different things, okay? So I think of what is the problem, and I think of how do I create a solution. So I created a product called NAD Dreams, and it's an NAD plus precursor drink that creates NAD plus while you sleep. Because that is when the majority of NAD plus is produced. So I want to work with the body's natural rhythms by giving it NR, transfer, all these things. But I'm like, oh man, but you're tired and wired. So I also want you to kind of let your cortisol come down, right? So then I'm going to include ingredients at a therapeutic level, like what studies actually say does this, like organic tart cherry or apigenin. Anyways, I think of, okay, what are the ways that I can get Shannon to chill out at night so she can turn off her brain so that she can go to sleep? And then once she's asleep, how do I help it with different things to keep her asleep during the night so that she can produce NAD plus so that when she wakes up, she can hit the ground running? Okay, so that's kind of my methodology of creating a product. But then from there, I actually source every ingredient myself. And I get all of the QA documents. I require roughly around 25 documents for every single ingredient, country of origin, testing, all of those different things. Formulate, we'll do a lot of testing there. But then actually the manufacturing, when all of the raw materials come in, we third-party test each individual ingredient. And then when you produce the product, you actually produce it, and then halfway into a batch, we do another test just to make sure. Because sometimes, like if you're combining ingredients, anything, things like that. And then at the very end, the manufacturer will test the product, and then my quality team sends it to a third party. Because I have an incredible manufacturer. However, I don't think you should always trust everybody. So we will always send it out for third-party testing to an ISO certified laboratory to do heavy metal testing, testing things like vitamin C. Vitamin C oxidizes really quickly. And so sometimes the vitamin C, when you first produce a product, and the vitamin C at shelf life, like it might not be the same. And so we actually also test the product through shelf life for that. So we do a lot to make sure a product is quality, but that the product, what we say is in it, is in it. In the amounts we're saying that it's in it. That's key for us, is our whole quality and regulatory teams.
That's so important. I literally will tell you from firsthand experience when I was quotation doing it all with supplements, going from, store brand, generic kind of product to more pharmaceutical grade, or medical grade. It's a complete different ball game. And I remember somebody being like, these are supplements, I'm already taking those. What are they going to help? When I swapped, I was like, oh my God. Okay, I feel a lot different. Yeah, because you're actually getting what it says you're getting.
Okay, you're getting, yeah. And even back to Amazon, like what you said, because that study was done, the people, they bought a bunch of supplements off Amazon, just in case anyone knows. They bought a bunch of supplements, and they essentially found that what people were saying was in it was not in it. There was things in it that they did not say was in it, and at the levels they said that were in it, right? And then there was all sorts of different mislabeling issues, a lot of different things. Amazon since then has cracked down, and they require a lot more paperwork. But the problem with this is still you can fake paperwork. And so that is why we do all the third party testing. Like I said, I get all of these QA documents, but we actually just prove it ourselves as well, because I just don't always, you just can't always trust every step. And there's a lot of people in the process. I mean, you have farmers to packaging to the process of the product, whether it's a fiber, just the way it's processed before it gets here. So there's a lot of steps, but it's really important to have a good regulatory team who knows how to ask the right questions and how to read and interpret results.
Yeah, love that. I'm also curious because temperature is a really big thing that doesn't get talked about, especially with like probiotics. And
Yes.
I'm very strict on where my clients order from. There's certain things I'm a little less strict on. Maybe a magnesium here, but like probiotic, don't you dare touch one off of Amazon, because not only are you getting counterfeit, but you're also in temp unregulated warehouses that can get up to 100 plus degrees. It's gonna, degrade the potency of the product, and also just susceptible for things like mold and things like that. But anyways, I'd be curious, is that
Yeah.
something that you're in as well?
Yes. Okay. So our manufacturer for our probiotic, it was the audit. So we do audits as well. So you go and audit a facility. I mean, it's even down to their air quality in their system. You would be surprised. So our facility is all temperature controlled and humidity controlled. That is key for probiotics. When you go into the facility, you actually have double doors. This door opens, you go inside, it closes. That's how they're able to control the temperature, is they have these dual doors. And you're right, because you can't. So essentially with probiotics, and there are different types of probiotics, but I'm just going to talk on mine. So mine are what we call human native strains, meaning these are strains that are found within a human healthy gut, right? But we want to essentially deactivate them so that they're activated when they get into heat, when they hit your digestive tract. And so because they're deactivated, humidity is really important. You don't want it to be humid, because you want them to essentially be alive but not active yet, because you don't want them to start like duplicating in the capsule. You want them to do all their work in your gut. Anyway, so yeah, you have to worry about that. It's really interesting. Like when you look at, this is it, but like when you look at the seal, Like even there was like a sill on here. You even have to be careful about how hot that gets because you don't want to heat the probiotics inside. This container is called a desiccant lined, and it actually regulates humidity. And so you even have to think of that. You don't have to do refrigeration. It's still like stable at room temperature. It's just you want to help the humidity. And it's really just so you can keep a 2-year shelf life as well. So yeah, it's probiotics are different because they're alive. And so
Mhm.
you treat them differently than you would a fiber supplement or a protein supplement. Um, they're very different.
Fascinating.
Yeah,
Like, no, I know a little bit, but not
there's a
obviously
lot of details.
a lot of details. Like even the lining, that's a new one for me.
Yeah, yeah. It's
How
crazy.
interesting.
Yeah.
Fascinating. So, if somebody wanted to learn more about kind of what you do, I know you do so many different things.
Yes.
Um, where can they connect, but where would they learn more about what you do as well as the companies that you work with?
Yeah, yeah. Okay, so I do a lot on Instagram. It's just Instagram. My handle is Chanelle Cosette. I also do some education on my other Instagram platform called This Is Curated, but curated is with a K. So it's just expertly put together advice. So those are kind of my Instagrams. I do a gut health course called the Gut Refresh. That's on thisiscurated.com. And then I work for Xyngular. I make some really incredible, like I said, just delicious supplements, things that you look forward to. And that is on Xyngular. Xyngular is with an X.com. And I mean, Facebook, I do a lot. If you went to, YouTube, Xyngular and XMD Wellness's YouTubes are incredible for lots of education. I do videos all the time there, a little bit more long form videos on just kind of all of the in and outs so that because I really truly believe that the more you know, the better you can do. And when you understand like how a supplement is working, you understand how to spot if it is working for you. Because
Mm.
I'm going to be honest, like not every supplement works for every person. You all have your own bio individual needs, and you kind of are your own best tester. And so that's always comes first is kind of your intuitive nature and does this work for me? But I think when you know the basics of different things that can help you, when you understand fiber isn't just insoluble and soluble, there's also prebiotic and low FODMAP, you understand, well, maybe this is the type of fiber I need. So I think education really does help people just do a lot better in their own healing journey.
Yes. Oh, I love that so much because people are like, well, this worked for my friend. Why isn't it working for me?
No,
You
yeah,
know, and understanding a
sure.
little bit of the nuance is so important outside of just, we could chat about like genetics and how those, play a
Yes.
role too. But
Epigenetics. Hey, I
yes,
mean, it is, yeah. Yeah.
once you go down the rabbit hole, guys, it's hard to stop.
Come down the rabbit hole with us, though. I tell you, it is actually, I mean, I love learning new things. And like we were talking before we started recording, like even peptides,
Mhm.
it's really cool that all these different peptides and that you're able, I mean, there's just so many tools out there. But sometimes you just got to cut through the noise. I loved what you said earlier. Like, you just got to go out and touch grass.
Yeah, yeah.
But like it's true, like go out in the sun, touch grass in the morning, get some sunshine. That stimulates your circadian rhythm. Drink water. Just the basic things. They sound so boring, but they work.
They work. They work. And get the foundations first, then optimize, right? But it is great to learn from trusted sources because there's a lot of BS on the internet, right?
Yes.
But girl, we can probably jam about some quantum physics if you really want to start
Ooh,
jamming
okay.
on quantum physics and bioenergetics. We just really crack open even more stuff. We can later. But I love all this. I will post all of her links below so you can check out all of these. I need that YouTube link too because I want to check that out. And I appreciate you being here. Listeners, of course, appreciate you guys being here. Go check out her links, go connect with her on Instagram, go check out their products. And if you found that this resonated with you, go share it with someone that could also benefit from it as well. So thank you, Chanelle, for being here, and we'll catch you guys on the next show.
Thank you.